guys. So this video is walking you guys through your second essay assignment. In this unit, you guys looked at a number of texts from both the Enlightenment and the Romanticism movements. And you looked at a number of texts from different genres as well. So what you're going to do is choose one of the works read in this unit to analyze in relation to the movement it's associated with. So make sure that you first of all clearly identify which movement you're focusing your analysis on, whether it's the Enlightenment or the Romanticism. Make sure you have the correct movement, of course, associated with the work that you're analyzing. And then you're going to show how that work and that author exhibit specific elements or concepts related to that movement. So the topic is broad, so you get to choose the movement and the author and work that's most interesting to you. But make sure that you are clearly identifying the elements related to that movement and then explore how the text does or does not fit with those elements. It's really important for you to understand that the way that you do this is by looking at the literary elements associated with that. So if I'm, for example, saying that Thomas Jefferson is exhibiting the logical reasoning associated with the Enlightenment, I need to pull in specific quotes that show that. And the way I'm going to do that is I'm going to say, for example, he might use a metaphor or a simile, or he might use man versus society conflict and pointing out the faults of King George. So he's looking at the concepts of a movement through the use of specific literary elements. Same thing, for example, with, say, Judith Sargent Murray. If I'm saying that she's looking at the power of the sciences and mathematics, I might say that she's, for example, has an allusion to Newton, which is a seminal scientific figure who uses logic and reason. So that is an allusion that she's using to show the principle of this movement. For example, same thing with Poe in his work. I might talk about how he uses, the tragic artist figure through the use of characterization, and what types of characterization he specifically is using could be whatever it might be, right? The antagonist of the main narrator. Things like that. So make sure, again, that you're looking at the elements or concepts related to that movement, but what literary elements helped show those concepts to the audience. You can also think about how the text does or does not fit perhaps within that movement, ideally. So if, for example, you want to say one of the poems from, Longfellow actually doesn't show romantic elements too clearly enough, it's more harkens back to Enlightenment, then you can say that. So your essay needs to be 2 to 3 pages in length and is due by Sunday, July 27th at 11:59 p.m. That means to the bottom of the second page at minimum, or we'll take off points. You can always write more, you just can't write less. You do need to have one credible academic source of your choosing. So what that means is something like a .edu or a .gov or PBS or history.com. These are credible academic sources. Things like gradesaver.com, 123helpme.com, those are not credible academic sources. So please don't use those. What you're going to do is you're going to pull in direct quotes from those sources to show your audience what you're talking about or support your claims, just as you would text quotes from the text themselves to show your audience what you're talking about and back up your claims. So remember, everything's checked for plagiarism. You need to have MLA and citations, etc. And then make sure that you are using your notes from the graphic organizer, your knowledge of the era, and the biographical information, of course, from the author secondarily, as part of your analysis to contextualize the work. So, for example, obviously Jefferson as his persona, his biography, that is important to note who he was in relation to the text. But of course, like the first essay, you got to keep the focus on analyzing the essay, analyzing the literature itself, rather than letting it become a biography or a history essay. Same thing, for example, with Judith Sargent Murray or Ben Franklin or Poe or whoever. Again, use concrete evidence from the text and your sources to support your analysis. Make sure that you have good development of your argument centered around the principles of the movement and the literary elements associated with that. Use the proper number of sources and full exploration of the chosen work. Use evidence to support your claims, both from the primary and secondary sources. Use proper MLA formatting and style. And then make sure that you're really using that language associated with that movement, as well as the language associated with the literary elements and the genre of the text that you're analyzing. So, for example, if you're looking at a poem, you want to be analyzing it through the lens of poetic devices, right? Poetic structure, rhyme scheme, those types of things. And then again, make sure you have a fully developed essay structure with good development of all your main ideas. You will need to include a works cited page that has the source that you're using as well as the work that you're analyzing. So if you have any questions on this, let me know. Otherwise, go ahead and move on. This is, again, just like your first essay, purposefully broad, because I want you guys to choose the work and the movement and the elements within that movement that are of most interest to you. But please let me know if you have questions as you work. Thanks.